They tried. They're so close.
Welcome back to Nintendo Makes Good Choices.
And they continue to make good choices up until this day, April 4th, 2025. Generic intro into that goes. Me here back when I was Scott Wazoo, and today we're doing Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, The Curse. I've never played this game, I've never heard of it, so this should be a rather interesting video. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright. Last week's video was like, I think it was like the gifts video. It was like Christmas, like his Secret Santa or whatever. Steel Wool made a reappearance. Or the Gifts of Gaming, I believe is what it was called. It's a longer video.
Hey y'all, Scott here. I wanted to see what having a personality was like, so I like spelunking now.
Oh dude, spelunking's
It's
great.
either this or misanthropy, but
I don't know what that one is.
Hide a secret, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
Scott does look like a
Everybody who
dude
plays
that
Donkey Kong Barrel Blast
spelunks.
absolutely in the beginning.
I've never heard of this game.
Was a virgin.
Which is probably good.
Losers. For 2007 years, humanity was content with anything but genitals. But then, everything changed. Scholars
What?
consider June
Also
28th
animation.
to be the turning point, where large portions of society stopped using their thumbs for abstinence and used them for something else instead.
Donkey
They
Kong Barrel Blast.
lost their virginity. Losers. Discarding their abstinence, these unvirgins formed a new group of humanity, what we now call people, whose numbers have been growing at a sexual pace. It's not because they like it.
Pace?
There's so
What?
much
What
disease,
pace?
overpopulation, and marriage caused by sexual activity. So why do they do it? It's the curse.
Because of this game.
These poor souls became too distracted playing Donkey
Purity
Kong
ring.
Barrel Blast to fulfill their destiny and fell towards the darkness. But
Also, has he made a video about the
that
Switch
one
2 yet?
chosen
I just
virgin can break the curse
past
of Barrel
2 days
Blast.
on the channel,
Beat the game to defeat
Switch
the
2
monster
videos.
from within.
Also, the
all
prices.
while abstaining from sex and
What?
restoring virginity to our world. Society may have lost its virginity, but I'm here to find it. I have two duties today: beat Barrel
Duty.
Blast and not have sex. It. Let's add world peace to the list.
Is this Barrel Blast?
The beginning of the end. So let's talk about Donkey Kong. My hearing's not until 10. Picture this. Nintendo floundering. How? Prior to the 1980s, Nintendo would experiment
maybe
with all
charging
kinds of
$80
business
for games?
ventures, so toys and games were always a constant.
Maybe.
That is a fact.
Especially
But once
digital
video
games?
and arcades became the latest fad,
something like that?
Nintendo knew they had to take a crack at it with EVR Red, Block Fever, Computer Othello.
What? Monkey Magic.
This
What?
isn't working out.
Bomb
The game Radar
beaten.
Scope was a monumental flop in North America. Just take those machines and make a new game out of them, and that is how we got to this point. The original Donkey Kong
Gotta
from
miss
the
golf.
arcades, a smash hit born out in 1981, was one of the first platformers as we know them today, which is just one of the many reasons behind its importance.
It's a
This was the
platformer?
game that solidified
I guess that
Nintendo
makes sense,
as
you're
a
jumping-
titan in gaming, the game that
I
gave
guess you're
Shigeru
climbing
Miyamoto
ladders,
his
that
start in
counts as a
game design
platform?
and direction, the game that introduced the most iconic video game character, debatably fictional character of all time.
King Kong.
Jumpman.
Oh.
You ever just accept this as an icon of society? Mario's first appearance, originally named Jumpman, you got a 2-for-1 here with icons, though as a kid I found it strange how you didn't play as the titular character. I mean, it's straight up called Donkey Kong, Nintendo. Read the room.
Play as an ape. Wanna play as an ape.
All
Yeah.
DK does is plant himself at the top of the screen and throw barrels at you. Like
Yeah.
any form of
Wait,
plagiarism
this
would.
is when
And all
Mario
these
made his
characters are
first
based on the
appearance?
archetypes of the cast of
Was it
Popeye,
Donkey
in addition
Kong?
to taking heavy inspiration from King Kong. But we're not here to argue whether Donkey Kong was plagiarism or not. We're here to agree.
What was it, Jack
Regardless,
Kirby
Donkey
with
Kong was
the
an
lawsuit? Is that what
enormous
his name was?
success, and without it,
That's what
we
Kirby's
would
named
not
after, I
have
believe.
Nintendo in the form we do today. Donkey Kong. Of course, now
Hey,
with
didn't
the
throw it in the
successful
toilet.
property, Nintendo learned that it's never too early to start giving up. Donkey Kong Jr.
What?
He
Here you play as Donkey Kong's son, who is
course
tasked
he
with
did.
saving Donkey Kong from Mario. It follows the same idea of get to the top, but I do think this one has a lot more strategy involved in terms
I
of how to
did
get
not
there the
know
quickest
that was
while
a
racking
thing.
up a high score. While Junior did well, it didn't do as
Do
well
you
as
play
the
as
original
Junior
Donkey
or
Kong.
as
So
Mario?
Take this, make a multi-billion-dollar franchise out of it, and take this.
Do
and just
nothing.
Take it. While Mario spun off into his own franchise, the Donkey Kong series introduced Stanley the Bugman. A warning sign if I've ever seen one. Donkey Kong
That
3 is a
appeared in a
vertical
YouTube
shooter
video.
where Stanley shoots bug spray into Donkey Kong
Oh,
ass,
wait, it
Donkey
was
Kong's Donkey
SMG4.
Kong ass, Donkey Kong ass. Get Donkey Kong to the top of the screen while shooting all the bees. Suffice to say, most
Bees?
players were not interested
Bee
in
me,
bee-based
me,
software.
bee.
Coupled that with this releasing in 1983 right alongside the video game crash and just straight up not being anything like the previous Donkey Kong games, and Donkey Kong 3 killed the franchise. franchise, just like any Donkey Kong 3 would. Any
this
series
cartridge
that's
is
tried
so
it,
cool.
It's never worked out.
Now that I
Afterwards,
have
the
one,
DK series
I'm
relegated
like,
to re-releases
it's just
and
so
Donkey
cool.
Kong Jr. Math, the sign of any healthy franchise. But then, a decade after Donkey Kong 3, Nintendo
That one's not as
revived
cool.
and rebooted the series with Donkey Kong Country, developed by the studio Rare. It didn't
Oh,
evolve
Rareware.
the
Okay,
arcade
I've heard of
gameplay.
them.
Rather, it took the character of Donkey Kong, made him the protagonist, and built new worlds, characters, and a standardized style of gameplay to make this
Was that
more
his
of an
kid in a
actual
barrel?
series rather than flavor of the month, spray this monkey's ass with bug spray.
I'll take chocolate.
Your
No.
villains were the Kremlings. You had a whole Kong family, including Donkey Kong's new sidekick, Diddy Kong. You had some of the most impressive graphics on a console up to that point. Donkey Kong Country was a massive success.
it's not a beat,
and
it's a
every
loss.
massive success leads to a sexual revolution. Donkey Kong
Does
Country
it?
2, 3, Game Boy side games, Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3, Donkey Kong 64, bringing the series into 3D for the first time ever, all developed by Rare. Donkey Kong was finally starting to be treated like
Donkey
the
Kong
Mario series
64.
with all this support. But even when that series was just a spin-off of Donkey Kong, it received loads of spin-offs itself in the form of Dr. Mario, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Kart. So with
What
all
about
of these
Mario
new games
Kart
taking place in a
World?
world prime for
Yeah, that's
expansion,
the
it was
new
fair
one.
to expect Donkey Kong to receive some spin-offs of his own. And in 1997,
Diddy
damn
Kong.
it, Diddy Kong
They tried.
Racing.
They're so
Not
close.
Donkey Kong doesn't appear at all in this game. In fact, fundamentally,
Really?
no Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Country elements appear outside of Diddy Kong himself. Like, you made this whole ass new world in the country games, and then the racing games spin-off features crunch. These are just a bunch of damn Build-A-Bears. But hey, Diddy Kong Racing was an
Yeah.
excellent kart racer, one that, to some, surpassed Mario Kart 64.
You can
Oh,
tell it did by all the
I
sequels
played that
it
one.
got.
And it was still developed by Rare. They made
Nintendo
all
64,
the Donkey Kong
Mario
related
Kart,
stuff
and the
back
DS.
then, and going into the
Mario
GameCube
Kart, that's the only
generation,
ones I played.
they were poised to make more.
Oof.
That threw a wrench into plans. One
Yep.
of the most infamous studio acquisitions of all time. Microsoft
Infamous?
buying Rare, making it impossible for them to continue being the head developer of Donkey Kong, considering how they were owned by Nintendo's rival. Many look
Yeah.
at this as one of Nintendo's biggest blunders. I mean, outside of Donkey
let
Kong,
that
Rare
happen.
developed GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie? You fool! But the thing is, I feel like if Nintendo saw legitimate value in their
Is this
continued
the-
relationship with Rare, they would
I
have
play
purchased
this
them, no
James Bond
doubt.
game?
Even though Nintendo
That might have been the
owned
one I grew up
49% of the
playing.
company
I'm
at
not
the time,
sure.
Rare went to them as
Maybe
game
that was on the
development
original
becoming
Xbox, I
too
don't know.
expensive for them not to be a flat-out subsidiary. And Nintendo said no. They bought ND Cube 10 years later. They made Tube Slider. And even though they supposedly
What
made
even
some
is
bids to
that?
buy Rare once Microsoft and
Why are
Activision were
those
throwing offers
alligators
around,
in lava?
just the fact that they allowed an opening for them to be purchased by a competitor in the first place says to me they didn't value their work as much as we think they did. I mean, Rare made like
Or they
half the
should
Nintendo
have.
64 library, and you bought... Welcome back to Nintendo Makes Good Choices.
Uh-huh.
Rare did have
And they
some Donkey
continue to
Kong
make good
projects in the works
choices
at the time,
up
though.
until
All
this day,
spin-offs,
April
actually.
4th,
There was
2025.
Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers, a puzzle game for Game Boy Advance, and Diddy Kong Pilot, a Game Boy Advance successor to Diddy Kong Racing. While Microsoft forbade Rare from making GameCube games, they could still produce Game Boy Advance titles simply because Microsoft wasn't in the handheld market. So bring
valid.
on, it's Mr. Pants.
Because, I
9
mean,
months
it's free
later,
money.
You were born.
These were reworked versions of those Donkey Kong projects. Coconut Crackers became Pants, and Diddy Kong Pilot became Banjo Pilot. But there was a big one
I've never
that
played
never
Banjo-Kazooie.
saw the light of day. Donkey Kong Racing for GameCube. This seemed to be the logical evolution of Diddy Kong Racing, incorporating far more Donkey Kong Country elements, right?
Yeah, he
Animal
mentioned this
buddies
in
from
a
those games taking place in
previous
these
video.
jungle settings. But of course, this was canceled after Rare's acquisition. They attempted to rework it into a few different projects without the DK license for Xbox and Xbox 360. That never worked. Guys, it's not Donkey Kong Racing. It's Earl! While all these projects were retooled or canceled, Nintendo and
Who's
Rare
Earl?
would collaborate again via the Donkey Kong Country re-releases for GBA. Yeah, sure, we can still be friends. You'll just hear me and my new boyfriend all the time. Rare developed these ports, so there was some wiggle room for them to work on Nintendo games. Maybe they could make some brand new portable DK titles.
Tell me when.
The 2000s!
Oh, dude, that's Red
throwing
Wine.
it out there.
Dude, Red Wine
Bad
will
era for Donkey
stain
Kong.
everything.
Economic recession. Without its key developer of the past decade, I think Nintendo didn't really know what to do with this thing. Be honest, if you had the keys to this kingdom, you wouldn't either. So f it, let's get weird.
Bongos. Oh, wait, like, are the bongos a controller?
The most well-known Donkey Kong project from the 2000s has to be the Donkey Konga series, rhythm games for the GameCube developed by
What?
Namco, specifically because of their work on the Taiko Drum Master games. I mean,
What?
comparing the two, they're very similar. But where Donkey Konga differs is
What?
its use of, well, that, and the DK Bongos accessory. Sure, you can play Donkey Kong.
How
with a
much did
regular
that
controller,
cost?
You can also brush your teeth with mice.
but it was designed around the DK
That's right.
bongos. Smack and clap along to the music. It was a gimmicky yet very novel spin-off idea for DK. The barrel-like bongos were a trademark of the series ever since that first arcade.
That hasn't happened in
title itself
forever.
Featured characters from the Donkey Kong Country series. Diddy Kong Racing may have been the better Donkey Kong spin-off, but Donkey Konga was the better Donkey Kong spin-off. And a lot of that was due to those damn bongos. I mean, talk about unique accessories. Come on, talk about them. So, of course, you couldn't just stop at one use for these
I
things.
haven't
mean,
had
they're
that happen
bongos. There's
so
a million
long.
things you can do with them, all of which are Donkey Konga-based. Donkey Konga 2 is basically just more of the same, now with an updated song.
Really hope that
The same
doesn't
can be
lead
said for
to
Donkey
issues with the
Konga
video.
3, though that one never left Japan. They wanted to make the most out of these bongos, and after 3 rhythm games, many would stop right there, but Nintendo refused. This was Donkey Kong Now, a bongo's bitch, because Nintendo's prime development team, EAD, pumped out Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, a brand new Donkey Kong
Dude,
platformer.
I never knew
for
they made
GameCube
Donkey Kong rhythm
designed
games.
around using the DK bongos.
To prove the skeptics wrong.
I mean, Jungle Beat is a very well-designed and fun game, and a new Donkey Kong platformer developed in-house at Nintendo ain't something to complain about if you weren't in the house next to them. Donkey Kong's presence on the handhelds was just as abnormal, though.
Oh, dude, the
Outside
Game
of
Boy
country
Advance
games,
SP
we got
was just
DK King
goated.
of Swing on the GBA in 2005, developed by Payon. Somebody had to do it. Now, who is Payon? Well, the
heard
developer
of
of DK King of Swing, of course. Thanks, Dad. They seem to be mostly a support studio, one you call if you need help getting things done. But this happens to be one of their few
I didn't
sole
know those
development
existed.
credits. This is a Payon-only joint, and it's something only they can do. Disappoint me. The King of Swing isn't bad, it just feels painfully generic. Like, this could have been for any franchise, but with an added Donkey Kong coat of paint. Ew. It's just a puzzle platformer, nothing too offensive, but my god, when I look at this, I want to feel. You grab onto these walls and continually move
And you just
clockwise or
spin.
counterclockwise, depending on what hand you grab them with. It's a fine idea, it's just the execution is a bit bland. At that time, King of Swing was the closest
I mean,
we
I
really
don't
got
hate
to a
it.
traditional DK game outside of Jungle Beat, and how close was that really? Oh, Jungle Beat only retained Donkey Kong bananas and barrels from DKC. Outside of that, that's what I'm saying. Payon proved themselves worthy of crafting new yet simple Donkey Kong
What is
based
that
experiences
font?
for handheld. So Nintendo
Who
commissioned
are
them
you?
again
Is that
for a
what that
King of
is?
Swing sequel on Nintendo DS, DK Jungle Climber. God damn, I mean, DK King of Swing was simplistic looking, but at the very least it had some sort of funky style to it. This is just pathetic. Like, don't do that. So Payon was head of the DK series, pumping out tolerable experiences. Rare came back one last time to develop a Nintendo DS remake of Diddy Kong Racing with more Donkey
I don't think
Kong references in
Rareware
tow,
still exists, do
both
they?
in 2007. So Nintendo was
I
pumping out
think
DK
he
spin-offs like
talked
mad
about
this year.
Rare
Why not
with
another?
the,
So we have one series of DK spin-offs
Banjo-Kazooie
made by
Nuts and
Payon,
Bolts, I
another
think?
focused on racing, even if Donkey Kong Racing never saw the light of day, and another that'll get you evicted. So for the third Donkey Kong spin-off in
Noise
2007,
complaint.
let us combine all three to get. Oh, what the?
The Donkey
Barrel
Kong
blast.
series has been through so much. Imagine what its therapy sessions are like. This era of the franchise can definitely be attributed to Rare's acquisition by Microsoft. So all Nintendo knew how to do was to contract companies to make spin-offs for them until they eventually found a new home for the mainline series with Retro Studios in 2010 with Donkey Kong Country Returns. But before that, we got one last whimper from this era of spin-offs in 2007. Why don't you ever hear anybody talk about this game?
It's on the Wii?
Because everybody who's played it is too busy f***ing their wife.
Donkey Kong Barrel
What's a wife?
Blast, the 10th commandment. Generally considered one of the worst Nintendo games of all time, Barrel
Oh, it's
Blast
bad?
is at a 46 on Metacritic,
Oh, it's
which
bad.
is the same as Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, worse than Balan Wonderworld, Aliens Cloning Marines. Some of the most
Okay, that's
notorious
bad.
video games of the 21st century.
I'm
and
familiar
Donkey
with
Kong
those-
Barrel Blast is
those
right there
videos
with them.
I've reacted
Is this
to
reception
about those
fair?
videos.
Did a bunch
Okay.
of game reviewers trip and fall? You know, I have heard some people say this game is unfairly hated. I've also heard voices in my head. So who knows, maybe this was just a misunderstanding.
She may have killed my brother, but maybe he was lying.
Barrel Blast was developed by Payon once again.
Really?
I guess Nintendo saw them as the home of DK spin-offs back then. What an honor. This title was originally announced at E3 2006
Oh,
for the
E3.
Nintendo GameCube under the name DK Bongo-Blast. You can see a few instances of King of Swing inspiration, such as Donkey Kong's player icon here, as well as just using the abbreviation DK in the title. But this was a completely different beast from what Payon developed before. This was a racing
mean, they
game,
tried
and
something
not
different.
just any racing game, a bad one. This was set to
Ah.
be the 5th game compatible with the DK bongos.
Why?
6 if they had courage. But hey, this looked like another interesting.
That's actually
and
the
creative
only
use of the
Tim Burton
accessory.
movie I've
The
seen.
one problem:
Charlie
I
and the
demand
Chocolate Factory.
phallic jokes. E3 2006 was definitely a passing of the torch between the GameCube and Wii. Nintendo was preparing for its next console after the last one sort of flopped, though not without a few last releases for that
GameCube was
struggling
amazing.
GameCube. Nintendo wasn't gonna end their system without a bang. 2006 gave us Chibi Robo, Odama, Baten Kaitos Origins, and the death of Gerald Ford. While Nintendo was planning to support the GameCube in its last few years,
we have a super carrier
most
class
of the
named after
titles in
you.
development were pushed towards its successor, the Wii, even if those titles were already revealed and demoed at events running on GameCube. The most notorious was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which did still end up releasing on GameCube, though this was more so out of obligation.
I don't know
Super
anything
Paper
about Zelda
Mario was
games.
originally
I don't
shown
even know
for
where I would
GameCube,
start
though
when I
that
play
version
them.
was scrapped
I plan on
entirely
playing
in
them.
favor of it being a Wii exclusive, and much like that game, DK Bongo-Blast quickly moved over to Wii as well. The change was announced roughly 3 months after it debuted as a GameCube exclusive, because the Wii lineup without it just made no damn sense. By spring of 2007,
all I need
it
is
was
a
confirmed
Wii
to
and Wii
only
Sports.
be released
That's
on Wii,
it.
renamed to Donkey
I
Kong
can
Jet
be
Race
happy
in
for the
Europe,
rest
and
of
over here,
eternity if that's
Donkey
it.
Kong Barrel Blast. Oh, excuse me, Europe. Barrel Blast. It was to launch in Japan on June 28th, 2007, North America on October 8th, and Europe on January 25th, 2008. They were a late bloomer.
And 2007 was a monumental year, one of the biggest years ever for gaming and
Why?
DVDs. Something had to give.
Mr.
You couldn't experience
Bean
everything.
Holiday?
So
Is
when
that what that
Barrel Blast
was?
launched, many players had to choose between maintaining abstinence and playing Barrel Blast. Those poor bastards never looked back. I've only played this game for a bit. That's basically
Why?
just grazing a crotch. But that tells me I am the chosen one. I tried playing it before. I couldn't. So I tried another copy and another copy.
Why
and
couldn't you
about
play
40
the game?
copies later.
Why does he
Tough,
have that
but
many
I made
copies?
some progress in the game. Okay, I can withstand this. I am immune to this game's spooky groin expansion, and it will not affect my schedule.
I like how he has a
have
blue
things
room.
to do tomorrow. I've tried getting laid in the past, but not anymore. I'm tired of no sex being shunned in society. I'm tired of being the virgin in the haystack. I'm no longer following society. Society's gonna follow me, and everybody's gonna have not sex and harmony. Nobody will feel left out, and I'll get recognition.
Will you?
A custom mug at least. I could
Okay.
use a bodyguard to ensure no unnecessary crotch enters the premises, but I must go forth regardless. With great power comes great virginity. I will restore chastity to this world. I can beat Barrel Blast without having sex.
Uh-oh. Oh, it's not an actual...
Practical.
The door wasn't locked.
My sirens are going off. Goes off whenever somebody's trying to
Oh.
You sure that wasn't an air monitor?
As sure as I am cordial. Anybody trying to lose their virginity?
I've loosened my virginity.
You know what that thing's capable of?
No.
It's a ticking time bomb of testosterone.
Hey, I'm taking precautions.
As somebody who's not a fan
He's
of sex,
actually
let alone
spraying
your
that.
I have an obligation to society to prevent you from mating, okay? This thing ruined my family, and it gave us more of them.
And I appreciate that, but the only way we can live in a sex-free community is by beating this game to break the curse. And I could use your help.
Normally I'd cry and bitch about the thought of doing anything in relation to that game, but I'm a pretty open-minded kind of guy, okay? And I'd do anything to unban the act of no sex in society. I'm in.
What?
So
That's
the
not
only
how
way
you
to
shake a hand.
stop f***ing is to start f***ing.
Yep. And we're about to film our first sex tape.
Ayo. Not the black couch, too. Oh, imagine if he, like, walked behind, was
Donkey
standing
Kong
behind the
Barrel
couch.
Blast or Donkey Kong Jet Race. Which one's the better name? The
Neither.
one that's not this. Take the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to race. What is this, some kind of shitty game?
Yes.
Obviously, with the jump to Wii, they had to include Wii Remote controls, and these seem to be a direct conversion of how your integrity would be lost with the DK Bongos. But hey, the Wii supports GameCube controllers. You can play GameCube games on the Wii, including
Which
all
is
the
so
DK
cool.
Bongo games. Hell, some Wii games allow you to use GameCube controllers. So, of course, with Barrel Blast being designed to use the DK Bongos, it just makes perfect sense for the final release to support the accessory.
It doesn't.
Or at the very least, the traditional GameCube controller.
It doesn't.
It was clear you could use it with older builds of
It
the
doesn't.
game. But
It
of course,
doesn't.
what makes more sense? This game doing that, or realizing I have trust issues?
Lucky you, that's the first step to not getting laid.
Yeah.
So that's what foreplay sounds like. Gotta say, Barrel Blast is one of the quickest loading Wii games I've ever played.
Wow. That was
Didn't even
immediate.
flinch. Unlike me, that's all I'm doing. Look at all these options. We can play 4 tracks in a row, not play 4 tracks in a row, not play 4 tracks in a row faster, not play 4 tracks in a row, and not give a shit. On the right-hand side, we can check out Cranky's Flight School,
Why do you need
Market's
Flight School?
options, and Candy's challenges.
This is gonna pose a problem.
Well, let's start off with the Jungle Grand Prix. We choose our character. I got Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and
I like that the
epidemial
characters are
hypertension.
different.
But right below them are the Kremlings from the Donkey Kong Country series. Turns out the character roster here is focused on the Kongs versus the Kremlings, light versus dark, good versus evil, Christ versus Satanism.
Red versus
Every
blue.
Kong has to have a rival, and because of that, half of these Kremlings were created just for Barrel Blast. Yeah, there's only like
That's a
a
shame.
handful of Kremlings that are legitimate characters, so Bayon
That's
had to
King
go
K
out of their
rule.
way to craft Kludge. Yep, that is not organic. Come on, you had loads of Kremlings to choose from. We live in a world where Klubba exists, and you're just not gonna take advantage of that? I mean, it's kind of a cute idea to build your character roster out of the concept of heroes versus villains, but I think they finalized that idea before going, so in comes the Kremlings. We got Critter with
Okay,
Kip
he
and
seems
Cass
pretty
as
average.
newcomers.
Oh.
Or Kip and Cass? Well, Diddy and Dixie Kong's rivals, of course.
Of course, because they had to have that.
I'll
Oh,
pick
nice.
Donkey Kong because I need a character flaw. Rookie difficulty, Topaz Cup, and DK Bongos because this game supports them, and I'm not.
Oh,
an
it
narcoleptic.
does support? Thank God. So how do you control a racing game with bongos? You actually have to hit them? Wait, does it not actually support them?
No support for the DK Bongos. The
What?
entire reason behind this game's concept. The entire reason this game exists in the first place. Now, it's just shake the Wii remote and nunchuck to race. Yeah, well, that's not a selling point. That's a cautionary tale.
Wait,
The
but
reason
Donkey
here
Kong
was that
hits the
motion
bongos to
controls
go.
mimics real-life scenarios, which is why Mario Kart Wii came bundled with the Wii wheel and had you steer
Never
as
played
if
it.
you were driving a car.
Never played it.
That was legitimately exciting for casual audiences back then. But Barrel Blast came out earlier, and what does Barrel Blast do to simulate driving with this immersive motion-based video game controller? Suffice to say, I failed my initial driving test. So, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast is a racing game in the DK universe designed around the DK bongos. Thus, of course, all characters have rocket-powered bongos attached to them at all times, naturally. By hitting them, you accelerate and can move left or right by hitting left or right. Now, with the
Wow.
bongos peripheral, it's obviously one big, giant, stupid excuse to use them,
You
but a creative and
keep
somewhat
hitting
charming
them
one at
over
the
and
very
over?
least. Without the bongos, it goes from stupid to just fucking dumb. Shake
And
the
that's how you
controllers as if you're banging on the bongos. Wow,
steer.
it's so realistic. This is the best way this game could have possibly been played. It's almost like I'm actually banging on bongos, and only the Wii Remote and Nunchuck could replicate this sensation. Here's
Yeah,
the
not
thing, though.
an actual
You may
set of
think
bongos,
that you
'cause
have
why
to
would
shake
they?
the controllers throughout the whole race. No, all you have to do is shake them enough to get to max speed, and then you're all set. You move forward automatically, like most apes on a jet. And to shift from left or right, shake left or right. Jump by smacking both of them down. It's pretty simple. So is murder. You ruined a perfectly good jet barrel race game with motion controls, Nintendo. Why do you keep doing that? I'm not gonna say these controls don't work.
I mean, the controls
that
on
doesn't mean I'm not thinking.
Crash
Well, this
Bandicoot 2 with the
functions-
jetpack were
it's
just
far from
god-awful.
enjoyable. It's tolerable at best. A gimmick like this only works when you go all the way with it, i.e., bongos. Simulating that gimmick rather than just doing it makes the entire experience feel unnecessary. Like, what's the point? See, they wanted to design a
I feel
racing
like it
game
might have
around
been
that old
rushed.
peripheral, much like how Jungle Beat was, with these both feeling like the developers were challenging themselves. Let's make a platformer that uses bongos. It worked.
Sure.
But definitely made the game a bit inaccessible, so when they brought Jungle Beat over to the Wii in 2009, they tweaked the title to be playable with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, which made it easier to appreciate Jungle Beat from a level design perspective. Though, weirdly enough, its existence felt a bit more forced without the DK bongos. Still a solid game, though what made it special and unique was gone. You can't just expect a game that was
Dude,
designed to work with
the
this to be just as
bongos.
fun and quirky without it. Yeah, it's easier to play Dance
This
Dance
bongos
Revolution
must have
with
been
a
built
D-pad.
pretty sturdy, at
Doesn't
least.
make you likable. But what if you took Dance Dance Revolution and removed the dance mat, removed the D-pad controls, and forced you to waggle the Wii remote in the direction it tells you? Do you think that would be stupid? No,
Yes.
that's not stupid. That's Donkey Kong Barrel Blast and stupid. The controls here are dumb. They're just dumb. Imagine if in Mario Kart you had to stand up to use an item. No reason. You just have to stand up. It's unique. That's this game's reasoning behind its motives.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be
Shaking to
really
get to max
stupid.
speed is undeniably irritating. Even though you only have to do it for a bit at the start and then you're golden, every time you hit, you lose momentum and you have to shake the controllers to get back up to speed. God damn! I mean, this isn't like in Mario Kart where, oh, you got hit, bam, you're back in action in a few seconds. Barrel Blast, everything stops. It just stops. Things screech to a crawl when you get hit, and then you have to get back up to top speed.
The
But
fact
if you
that-
don't have a
there's three
straight,
bananas.
large stretch of land to shake to, if you get hit in a field full of obstacles, or God forbid, at all. It's a bitch to get up and running again, and you have to deal with the shame and embarrassment of going 10 while everybody else is going 20. This is one of the slowest damn ape racing games I've ever played. Nintendo disagrees.
Racing.
And it's all made worse by the
that's
fact
oddly
that all the
specific.
tracks
I
have
see why.
bumper lanes. You can't fall off. You can't go off course. You can't lose at the game. You can just do really poorly. So you pretty much cruise through the levels automatically. You can't fall off the track. You can't
It's
veer off
just
the track.
dodging
You can't go any
stuff.
faster than this. What's the challenge? Having arms. It wears on you. Not even physically, but mentally. Constantly hearing the bongo taps come out of the Wii Remote speaker, doing the same
What?
movements with your arms over and over
So
again
the
while falling
Wii
deeper and deeper
remote
into the
makes the
same core
bongo
values.
sounds instead of just using the bongos.
I can't do this anymore. I feel cold.
I can tell.
I may be able to withstand a video game for the betterment of society, but my immune system can't.
Jesus, you look horrible.
Oh.
Hey,
You need nourishment. I need no sex. Stat!
it can't be delivered. You can't mail hazardous materials.
No sex delivery.
Oh, nice, perfect. Oh,
He's a vigilante.
how'd you
I
get
prefer
there?
the term felon.
This is a gun.
Hey.
So is this.
Setup. I love walls. You want to stay? I got 3 more of them.
So I'm trying to stop sex and I need help doing it, so I have Rex over here guarding me, making sure I stop sex without having sex, but he can't handle all this sex. So I was wondering if you could stick around to resuscitate him if possible, so I can continue to not have sex while having sex, while Rex guards me, while you guard Rex. That would be great.
Dave, is that a monkey with sunglasses?
Got it.
Is this what the gun was for?
To be fair, there's some strategy here. See those bananas? You want to collect them to fill up your wild move meter. Finally, a
Wild
racing game with a
move?
wild
That's
move
what they
meter.
came up
It's
with?
fundamentally just a boost that you pull off by holding the analog stick
Speed
in whatever
boost?
direction to charge and letting go to accelerate for a bit. But running into other players, enemies, or barrels laid across the track while one is still in effect continues the wild move for longer. So if you string together enough combos, I mean,
You
do
can
I
just
have to
speed
spell it out
boost.
for you?
Yeah.
Pulling off wild moves effectively is how you get far in Barrel Blast, so you want to pull one of them out when you see a string of barrels or some other obstacle you could ram into. This is the defining element of Barrel Blast's game design, boosting into things and creating combos, and you know what? It might be something I consider to be enjoyable.
Wait!
When
No.
you're boosting and trying to maneuver to the nearest obstacle that you can combo into, this is when the game is fast, frantic, when it has more strategy. It's
Yeah, when
satisfying
you're
to
moving
pull
that
off a
fast,
large
it's
string
more
of
fun.
wild moves, but it just doesn't
Speed.
happen enough. Oftentimes, there's only like 2 sets of barrels near each other, so it's like, okay, that was pointless. Obstacles aren't set up in enough ways across all of the tracks to make this a compelling gameplay element, and most of the time, there's too much shit in the way, like these steel barrels. These don't count. But much like life, you can always resort to violence. The shit out, you
Oh.
can beat it, all with the A button. So you can punch enemies, opponents, and barrels with A, use items with B, pause the game with plus, back out with home, turn off with power, throw it out with spite. But before all of that,
Hey, at least it's not in the
these
toilet,
items you can pick
okay?
up on the track. Any mascot kart racer needs fun and creative items to use against other players, and Donkey Kong Barrel Blast
Doesn't have
joke's
that.
on you. Those aren't carts. This one gets you bananas. This one
Oh, really?
gets you more bananas.
Ooh.
This one is bad bananas. The items in this game are boring as hell.
They're
Most
just
of them
different
feel like they
bananas.
kind of do the same thing, and that there's no real strategy to using them. It's just get an item, use it immediately. That's what I do with all of them. And while a good chunk of items have equivalents in Mario Kart, they're so much lamer here. What, the blue shell? It targets the player in first place and
Oh,
explodes
no.
on impact.
Oh.
Quox? He flies to first place and takes 10 bananas from the player while pecking at him. Watch out,
Okay.
motherfuckers. I have Quox.
Whoa! You scared me there.
Oh, that's not good.
Stop sucking this game's
I wouldn't if it had one.
But then you have
The-
Squawks, which flies up to the
the
player in
fake
front of you and
hair.
stops them from using wild moves. Mini Neki goes to the player behind you and takes 10 bananas from them, which is just the same as Quawks, but it's punching down and looks completely f***ing different.
Does it?
Worcestershire? Prom Monkey gets sent up to the
Worcestershire
players in
sauce?
front of you and gets rid of their bananas, so it's the same as Squawks, but it just makes you look like an ass. Oh wow,
What?
the tasty melon makes you invincible, and you haven't played this game. Why? The blazing banana gets laid out on the track and makes opponents lose bananas if they hit it. Oh my god, just
Okay.
f- each other already.
It's just
These items
bananas.
are boring as hell and are just a means to an end. Each one is so specific in what it does, and it's not readily apparent based on how the item looks. How most of the
Yeah.
time after I use an item, I still have no clue how it works.
You
Oh,
just
man,
push
I
the
got an
button
item.
and be like, okay, I wonder what this does.
do you want me to do with this info? Now, there is a special gimmick with these things. The item boxes are balloons, both blue and red. Red balloons are for the Kongs, blue are for the Kremlings. Well, you can go through either or as one or the other. If you go through the balloon color of your team, your item will be a little enhanced. So since the melon is only in the red balloons as a Kong, you'll be invincible for longer. Since Mini Neki is only in the blue balloons as a Kremling, using them will not only nab 10 bananas from your opponent, but remove a wild move of theirs as well. And this mentality applies to pretty much every item in the game. Where would I be without him?
Oh, wow.
Horrible idea,
Thanks,
but
Dad.
not necessarily a creative one. This feels like such a surface level fan idea for a new Mario Kart game. Ooh, different item boxes for different characters. How about different tires,
or
but
different
only for Lemmy?
teams.
Well, this is a racing game, so it all comes down to the course design. 16 tracks
they
included across
good?
6
I mean, they have
cups.
bumpers.
A great deal, I say as I'm paying for college. I mean, 16 tracks is the going rate for most Mario Kart titles. So
Really?
at the time of this game's release, Mario Kart games are starting to include 32 courses. 16
I mean,
new
that's
and 16
DS.
retro.
That's one I played
no
like the
worries,
most.
No worries. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast is a
Why
new
did you jump over the
concept for
barrels?
humanity. We can't expect it to have everything Mario Kart has right out the gate. It's a newborn, an infant. Treat it with respect. So 16 tracks overall.
Also, why
that's
did he
nothing
have
to
a crib?
sneeze at. Let's see him.
Achoo.
We got DK Jungle, DK Jungle Falls, which
Oh.
is more DK Jungle, DK Jungle Sunset,
Oh,
which could
okay.
be anything. Salty Sea, Shimmering Sea, Open Ocean, all
Wow.
seaside tracks, Mount Dynamite Remix. They didn't even try to hide that one. You see what the problem is here? Yes, there may be 16 courses,
They're
but
all
when
the
there are
same.
only 7 distinct themes, there could be 40 of them and it wouldn't make a difference. And with every track basically being on rails without being able to fall off the course, it's hard to really tell each one apart and pick favorites outside of the limited themes. Oh, why do you like DK Jungle Falls compared to DK Jungle? Well, I like this barrel being there instead of that barrel being there. And 6 cups? Yeah, sure. The
Why,
final two are
though?
Selection Cup and Random Cup. The former giving you the ability to pick whatever 5 tracks to play in a row, and the latter being a random assortment of 5 tracks
Okay,
being
that's a
played
cool
in a row.
feature.
Why stop there? Why not a random
But they're
Selection
not
Cup where they give
different
you a
enough.
random limited assortment of tracks to select from? Why not a cup that lets you schedule when you want to play it? Why not a cup that's a calculator?
God, there's so many options here. I could imagine doing this alone, with another person. Heck,
No.
maybe even 4.
Why would you
No,
though?
why?
To see 5 of the 16 tracks have bees as an obstacle?
Bees?
That's more impressive than you may think.
Maybe.
Were bees in Citizen Kane?
Maybe
I
not.
don't know.
But they were around during Genghis Khan's raid, and they did nothing about it.
Hey,
What's
let me
wrong with
watch
his
my
mouth
ATVs.
there?
You're a sick wench! Oh, come on. you're
Like,
just being a
that
fucking
was
loser.
definitely
Oh,
not what he said in that
haven't
situation.
lost anything.
That was done
Guys,
after the fact.
it's really hard to stay abstinent with all this shouting.
Here, mark him with this so I can always tell which one of us is a fucking creep.
What does the A stand for?
You're a fucking creep.
Playing through the cups, you can unlock a decent selection of the characters. You get the mainstays, Lanky Kong, Funky Kong, Tiny Kong, Kludge, Copter. Were you expecting a crocodile with an
Calypso.
afro? Good. The rest of the characters
I
you
was
unlock via
not, but now I
candies,
am.
challenges, an excuse to ogle a monkey. Just go to the zoo. Here we have 32
Don't
challenges
do
to
that.
complete, where you only play as Donkey Kong, with characters like Wrinkly Kong, Cranky Kong, Clump, and King K. Rool being locked behind certain ones. And there we have it, the final roster. You know, with half the Kremlings being original creations just for Barrel Blast, I have to once again severely question the choice to make
Bees.
this roster heroes versus
Beanie,
villains.
me,
There are
bee.
so many other characters from Donkey Kong that could have and should have made it in before Kludge. I believe in what I believe. But it's all worth it to see a full lineup of characters I'll
The
never use.
speed.
Plus, they all have their own unique stats.
Which is
so if
cool.
you needed a
But
reason
some of them
to
are
use
just
Clump
the
over
same.
Kludge, you don't. But to get to this
Yeah.
point, you have to go through some of the most tedious challenges I have ever
Okay,
done.
let's see.
32
Hit-
challenges. Roughly 1/3 of them take place on the same DK Jungle
I mean,
track.
I like that idea.
Roughly another
Completing
third
challenges
takes
to
place
unlock
on the Cranky's
characters.
Flight School variant
And
of
they're
that
different?
map. You had the chance to split up like 2 challenges per track. Instead, there are straight up tracks that just don't have any representation here. So damn many of these are on the exact same course, and the challenges themselves. Collect 200 bananas. Collect 700 bananas.
Oh.
Collect 200 bananas. All
Oh.
run by a monkey that I don't know what Nintendo wants me to think of. Like, Jesus, Candy, just wear a name tag. But hidden
the
behind
blonde
the final
hair.
challenge is one
Just
last
blonde.
unlockable character.
They tried so
I'm DK
hard.
Jungle, goddammit.
I thought you were a virgin.
Yeah, you're getting like a pro.
This
but-
challenge is absurd for no other reason than they
Why
make
did
the
you
time to
fa-
complete it like 2 seconds shorter than it should be. You have to punch the
Oh.
barrels and use your wild moves at just the right time. And even when you do, like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, so it's that difficult.
I don't know what I did right. But for
Oh,
completing
dude,
all the
yeah,
missions,
that's me.
We unlock Ultra
When it
Barrel
works,
Donkey
it's like,
Kong.
I don't know how
You
I
have
even
to
did
hover
that.
over Donkey Kong and old Z to play as it. Like, Jesus Christ! While the other
Oh,
characters
he's
are fairly well
busted.
balanced, Ultra Barrel DK is literally the best in all categories. Like God intended, sure. But does that make for a fair game?
No.
If every character could use the Ultra Barrels, sure, maybe. But no, this breaks everything. Your prize for beating the game? Never playing it again.
Yeah,
Why
why
bother?
would you
There's
play the
nothing
game
else to
anymore?
do.
Yeah.
Does Cranky's Flight School count? Say it does. I dare you. There's nothing else here. No track editor, no story mode, no online. I mean, just compare this
So
to
what
Mario
is
Kart
the
Wii, a
purpose
game
of
that
getting-
released a
I
few
guess it's
months
just kinda like,
later,
hey,
right? You get
you've
32
completed the
tracks,
game.
multiple control schemes with many relying on motion control, online multiplayer, online tournaments with missions, battle mode with 10 tracks exclusive to it, 26 characters with 3 of them being from Donkey Kong, 36 different vehicles, while this one, Kludge. Jesus Christ, even Diddy Kong
sold.
Racing on the Nintendo 64 had more content outside of the characters, but at least all of them were more unique. Barrel Blast's lack of content can be attributed to it being a gimmick title at its core. We're only making this to see if we can, and you're only buying this because you make poor life choices. But on the Wii,
I do.
This is one of the most useless games I've ever experienced. If it used the DK bongos, it may not have been better, but it would have made more sense. Though, I don't think it's as horrible
Well,
as people make it out to be. Oh, it's
Both
bad,
my federal
sure,
and my
but
state
all the
taxes have been
complaints
accepted.
I can't really get behind. The visuals? I mean,
That's
sure, they aren't
good.
groundbreaking, but it runs fine and looks better than most Wii
Help.
games that were on the market. Acting like it looks worse than a GameCube game? Like, have you seen worse than a GameCube game? That's just a dog's ass. It didn't
What
have
do you
online
mean? What's wrong-
multiplayer.
what's wrong
Sure,
with the
that's
GameCube
ridiculous in
game?
the
I
context
loved
of the
playing the
value of the
GameCube when I
package in
was a kid.
comparison to other racing games at the time. But is that really a problem when you don't like the game to begin with? This game has horrible controls, bland track design, and worst of all, I can't play it for hours on end with my buds. The core gameplay isn't horrible. I think there's some merit to the ideas like the wild moves, but with the slow speed, limited number of unique courses, funky controls, lack of modes, and no real purpose to existing, like, why would you play this?
Yeah.
That.
You
Oh no, he's gone bald.
did it.
All in a day's work. You know, I thought Barrel Blast was gonna be horrible. No, it was just bad.
I remember my first time.
Wasn't this your first time?
Yeah, I remember it.
Oh. Oh no.
I beat the game, but the curse hasn't lifted. People are still f***ing. If people weren't still f***ing, Rex would be senator.
Oh, looks like you still have one
Senator.
challenge left.
That
what?
cannot happen. Oh wait, what? How was that? No, there's no way that's in the game. That had to be put in.
No, it doesn't matter. Barrel Blast is always going to exist no matter what, and as long as it's not forced upon anybody, who cares? We shouldn't judge people who play it or not. Playing it doesn't make you disgusting, or not playing it doesn't make you a loser. We're all adults here and on different paths of life. Maybe you've already played Barrel Blast, or maybe you haven't.
The smile.
But it doesn't make you a better or worse person because of it.
Oh.
You know what?
He's
My
saved.
uncle was a big fan of Barrel Blast. I kept hearing all these stories about people telling me, oh, he's so cool just because of it. Like, he was getting hyped up so much, he could finish the game in 14 seconds flat.
My grandpa could do it in 10.
But my aunt, she only played Barrel Blast the one time.
Are we
I
talking
played
about
twice.
Are we
Well,
talking about
everybody
Barrel
thought
Blast?
less of her because of it.
Are we still talking
And
Barrel
I distanced
Blast?
myself from that entire side of the family. I shouldn't have. I let my own personal way of life cloud my judgment of others. I get that I may be against
The
everything this
voiceover.
game stands for, but that doesn't mean other people should be chastised for doing what they love. Jeb, you're not a fucking creep. You're a fucking friend.
You know what? It was wrong of me to think so lowly of you because you didn't enjoy the game. I mean, I personally love Barrel Blast, but that doesn't mean you have to.
But you love
Even if
Dex
I
as
beat
well.
Barrel Blast, curse or no curse, it's not gonna make people stop doing what they want to do. As long as they're not hurting others or themselves, what gives me the right to want them to conform to what I
I mean,
am?
that's so valid.
All that matters is that I'm comfortable with myself. No matter how much changes, I'm always gonna be that virgin at heart, regardless of if I beat Barrel Blast or not. And I'm gonna.
Oh.
I'm beating this Donkey Kong game without having sex. Because I'm a virgin,
Soldier.
damn it! Yeah! Get up! Just don't get up!
Oh, just don't. The bongo. Okay. Not okay. Oh. Okay. I mean, he actually completed the game. He broke that screen. Also, this is extremely loud. Just... Dude, that... I'm actually getting some of these references. Wait, so this isn't a special or anything. This is just a straight up, just a regular Scott the Woz video. With all this animation.
I did it.
New outro music? What? It's very, very loud. So that was Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, a game I was not familiar with until Scott the Woz introduced me to it. Oh man, well we finally got to this. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's going to be a very, very long night of recording for me. But yeah, this was Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, The Curse. I'm not quite sure where he got the idea from about the curse. Also, shout out to the patrons. I could not do this if it was not for them. They got all the videos there earlier. I do read all the comments whether you're patron or not, whether you're subscribed or not, but I hope you are subscribed. Let me know what the next Scott the Woz video should be, actually. But, why did the bongos not work? In a game where, in-game, you push the buttons and the characters hit the bongos to go forward. You can't hit the bongos in real life to go forward? Why? Seriously, what was the plan? Why? Like, why? Why could they not add that to the game? I have no idea. So many questions. But, like we all know, Nintendo makes absolutely zero mistakes. Just like they haven't made any major mistakes within the last week. As I said, this is April 4th, 2025. They have yet to make any mistakes ever. So, whatever it was, it must have been the right one. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Like I said, go check out the last like 2 videos that I uploaded. They were yesterday's video should have been me reacting to all 24 games available at launch for the Nintendo Switch 2, and the video before that on Sunday. The second video on Sunday should have been the Switch 2 overview trailer reaction, which that was my first time seeing it, other than the reveal trailer, I guess I did a couple months ago. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to the next one. But until then, take care. Kitty music.